A UN report calls for the investigation of the military top brass in Myanmar for genocide in Rakhine State and crimes against humanity in other areas. The report is the organization's harshest condemnation of violence against the Rohingya, an ethnic minority group in the country.
The fact-finding mission has concluded on reasonable grounds that the patterns of gross human rights violations and serious violations of international humanitarian law that it has found amount to the gravest crimes under international law. These have principally been committed by the military, the Tatmadaw. The mission has concluded that criminal investigation and prosecution is warranted, focusing on the top Tatmadaw generals in relation to the three categories of crimes under international law: genocide, crimes against humanity, and war crimes.
The documented crimes against the Rohingya include murder, imprisonment, torture, rape, sexual slavery, persecution and enslavement. The UN report also blames Aung San Suu Kyi, as she has not used her de facto position as head of government nor her moral authority to stem or prevent the unfolding events in Rakhine. Myanmar has repeatedly rejected all the allegations so far, while opposing any investigations in the Rohingya plight. That's why experts believe expecting justice and truth from any Myanmar domestic process is naive. Yet, accountability is crucial if the country is going to stop violence and serious human rights violation. In this regard, the role of the UN is of paramount importance.
The UN has to rely on the agreement of several countries that are involved. Whilst the West is very keen for their own reasons to see these atrocities taken forward, there'll be a lot of convincing to do for countries like China and India, who have got relationships with Myanmar and have investments, particularly in the region.
According to R. Inian Ilango, UN Advocacy Program Manager for the group, if the UN fails to adequately address these findings, it will be a monumental failure for the world body, which has already been criticized for not doing enough. At least 700,000 Rohingya fled violence in Myanmar over the past 12 months. The hatred toward the Rohingya, the Muslim minority in a Buddhist country, is deeply rooted in nationalism and racism, which have deprived them of basic human rights. The deep-seated aversion has made many in Myanmar look down on this minority group as subhuman. This antipathy is being easily spread via social media across a nation with some of the lowest education levels in Southeast Asia.
The brutalization of the minority in the region has its roots in how the country has been divided, has its roots in terms of divide and rule policy. And of course, the military dictatorship only escalated it from 1948 onwards. And in fact, this minority in what is a largely Buddhist country, this Muslim minority in the region, the Rohingyas, have been extensively discriminated against for the entire existence of this newly formed country.
A special report by Reuters shows that in just 1 week, more than 1,000 anti-Rohingya posts featuring calls for their murder, among other hate speech, were live on Facebook.
Obviously, a lot has to be done internally to educate the people of the country about the minority, and obviously the first thing to do is to give those minority their rights, their rights to assemble, their rights to education, their rights to health. And these things seem very minor in the current situation where we're dealing with genocide.
The first step to stop such acts of genocide in Myanmar is to change the dominant attitude toward the Rohingya, the most persecuted ethnic group on earth. Without it, the history of the past half-century will be repeated again and again in this country.